up, Sauce Gang, and welcome back to the channel. Hot Sauce Beats here with a banger FNAF reaction for you because the time has arrived. Matt Pat over at Film Theory has finally made a FNAF lore video on the movie called Film Theory FNAF Movie Just Change the Lore. Now, it's been a couple weeks since the movie came out. It was absolutely amazing. Everything we would have hoped it would be. I thought they did a great job, especially making a movie for us, the fans. So I'm super stoked to see what kind of lore and theory Matt Pat can make about this. And let's see where we're going with this, fam. But before we jump into this, can you show Matt Pat at Film Theory some love by subscribing to their channel? And fam, we are so close to 100,000 subs. So if you not yet, go ahead and smash that subscribe button and join the Sauce Gang family. We're trying to get to 100,000 before Christmas. But enough talking, let's get to reacting and roll that bomb ass intro.
Hot Sauce Beats is finally here. Hot Sauce Beats is finally here. Eat, sleep, make beats. Eat, sleep, make beats. Hot Sauce Beats. Woo woo.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm so ready for this. Let's go, fam. Oh yeah.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Film Theory. Show that knows that a picture is worth 1,000 words.
The drawings show them what really happened.
And what did you draw? A yellow rabbit hitting the subscribe button?
What's up, baby?
Oh, great. That is the point of the subscribe button, after all. Thanks, Abby. Finally
You're welcome.
It's happened. After 8 agonizingly long years in development hell, hopping from studio to studio, director to director, the Five Nights
Hope
at
you guys are
Freddy's
having a good
movie is
weekend.
finally out for you to go see right now. And man, has this been a commercial hit. As of the writing of this script, just one weekend into release, the movie's made over $152 million at the box office, more than 7 times its own budget. And that's despite being available to stream on Peacock, where, oh wait, it's also the most viewed movie on Peacock ever. Suck on that, my big fat Greek wedding 3. It's also Blumhouse's most successful opening weekend to date, which means that more people are turning out to see Springtrap wielding his knife than Michael Myers. Maybe
Which is
now
my
Hollywood will
favorite
finally
scary
bother to
movie
get the
series,
name
by
of
the
this
way. I
thing
love
right.
Halloween.
And his other movie, Friday Nights at Freddy's, comes to theaters and streaming on Peacock October 27th.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
What did I?
It's okay. The first time I did a reaction to anything FNAF related, I think was to CG5 came out with the FNAF song. I also called it Friday Night at Freddy's, which CG5 reacted to my reaction of his song, and he laughed, and I was super embarrassed. But anyways.
Friday Nights. It's been 8 or 9 years since I first met Scott Cawthorn, who created this.
Why do we get it wrong?
Or not. Who cares? Forget them. This thing was made for the fans. From Sparky the Dog to Dream
Dang right
Theory
it was.
to...
It's just a theory.
You bet it is, and today
Dream
we're
Theory
getting back
book?
to those theorist roots. Today we're theorizing about the actual movie, and boy, is there a lot to talk about here. True story, after the movie, I basically locked myself in the room with Lee and Tom, the film and game theory creative directors, and we busted out our trusty whiteboard to figure out exactly what was going on in the movie and where the story was gonna head in the future, because there were just a lot of details left hanging. What was up with the Balloon Boy figurine? How's no one freaked out by the fact that there are bodies in those animatronics? Wasn't this like the most structurally unsound table for it of all time? That last one, perhaps, the biggest mystery of them all. Today, we're gonna be looking at all the Easter eggs, secrets, and hidden lore from the movie, then comparing those to other parts of the franchise, both the books and the games, in order to predict where the story of the FNAF 2 movie is gonna go years before they actually make it. So that's our one job for today,
Another
but
8
before we
years?
get to it, I also have to shout out our brand new line of officially licensed FNAF theory wear.
Dude, I love it.
Yeah, I guess you're right, Vanessa, it is 2 jobs. Anyway, let me tell you guys, these are some of the most fun, unique items that we've ever done. And
Dude, I want both of those jackets, man.
not only are the designs
I think they look
fun,
so
let's be
good.
honest, there's also a lot of just FNAF stuff out there in the market, which is also why we wanted to create the highest quality clothing out there, complete with rubber patches, embroidered detailing, soft
Look
teddy
at those,
fleece. This
look at
stuff isn't
those!
just FNAF merch, it is FNAF apparel. Oh, in case you were wondering, every item in this collection had to be approved by Mr. Scott Cawthorn himself. Look, we're so tight, I even know how to pronounce his name right. And in this collection, we've got
Cawthorn?
something for
I didn't know
everyone.
that's how
Do
you
you like
say it.
graphic tees? Check out the retro band t-shirts featuring Freddy, Purple Guy, and of course, Music Man. You want something a little bit more subtle? The all-over prints of the confetti tee and the employee tee will make you look good without screaming, "I'm a FNAF fan," in everyone's face. If you're in the mood to do some cute FNAF bounding, the Chica Cheer bundle's got you covered with a Chica-themed top, skirt with underskirt, and high socks. And of course, we've got jackets. Oh boy, we've got jackets.
Dude,
it's not
I
a
seriously
theory wear
love these
collection
jackets.
unless
Like,
they're
look at that, bro. I'm a big fan of varsity jackets. I think that is just too, and I think real men can wear pink, bro. Real men can wear pink and
There are
purple.
some killer jackets in here, and we had fun with this batch. You have the Fnaf High Varsity Jacket inspired by Chica's Anime Adventures and Ultimate Custom Night, with colorful patches of all your favorite characters down the faux leather sleeves, and a class of 1983 embroidered patch on the back, for obvious reasons.
There is only one thing that could possibly go wrong.
Yeah, and that's falling in love with another jacket, like our withered fleece complete with 3D
Look at that,
animatronic
dude.
endoskeleton detailing. That's a Endo 02 to be specific, so make sure you put that one on your next timeline. And while the outside is nice and soft and fluffy, the inside is waterproof and purple, in case you feel like flipping the entire thing inside out and sporting the franchise's most notorious color. And lastly, probably the most fun piece we've ever done, the Monty jacket. It is faux alligator leather that's glammed out to the max with bright yellow interior and sharp
That's
metal
pretty cool.
studs to show that you're the raddest reptile on the block. Any guitar-playing bunnies better watch their backs when you're wearing this one. If any of this has caught your eye and you want to show off both your love of FNAF and theorizing, go check out our official FNAF collection over at theorywear.com. That's TheoryWear.com. And now, with that shameless self-promotion out of the way, let's just hop into the theory, shall we? So to begin, we should point out that we already do have some vague idea where the sequel's gonna head. In an interview with Variety, FNAF director Emma Tammy explained that the first movie was tied to the first game, so a second film would likely tie into a second game.
So we're gonna go back in time?
Which, kind of goes without saying, but also should probably make our lives easy, right? Yeah, not quite. As we mentioned in our first prediction theory, the strategy for the movieverse seems to be taking iconic bits and pieces from across the entire franchise, games, books,
making it
fan
its
theories,
own
even
universe.
hoaxes, and distilling it all down into the most recognizable version of FNAF there is. That's how we got Mike Schmidt from FNAF 1 hanging out with Vanessa from Security Breach, fighting Springtrap from FNAF 3, and saving Abby from getting stuck into a Springlock version of Ella from the Silver Eyes novel, with an ending that was ripped straight out of the fourth
Ella.
closet. It is literally FNAF the smoothie. Everything dumped into a blender,
Ooh,
chopped
a
up, and then
FNAF
poured back
smoothie?
out
Let's
onto the
go!
big screen. So yeah, while it did follow the same broad strokes as the first game, 5 nights in the FNAF 1 pizzeria with ghost kids in suits, it is definitely not the same story. It's also important to note the changes to the story that have been added in. One example has to be the time that these movies take place. It's widely accepted that the FNAF 1 video game takes place somewhere around 1993, and yet in this scene from the movie, we see a date on a security camera that reads April 6th, 2000, about 7 years
good
later.
catch,
Another
good
big
catch.
example, though we've long theorized that the
Nebraska!
story of the original FNAF games takes place in Utah, that is not the case in the film. In the film, during the scene where Aunt Jane is confronting Mike at Abby's school, her lawyer hands Mike some family court paperwork. If you pause and read the fine print on the documents, you'll find the URL mncourts.gov, which is the official website for the Minnesota judicial system.
Oh, yeah,
Additionally,
he
we can see a
wants
phone
to
number
go
with
to
area
Nebraska.
code 651, which is connected to the St. Paul area and eastern suburbs of Minnesota. And get this, I kid you not, there's a small town in this area code named Afton. You cannot make that up. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Scott moved the entire movie to Minnesota just for that change alone. Lastly, there's also this decal on Vanessa's police cruiser, GFPD. PD stands for police department. That part's pretty darn obvious, but then what about the GF? Well, honestly, that could
Girlfriend?
stand for any city or township with those same initials, from Grand Forks to Glen Falls to Great Falls, but included in that list is Granite Falls, just 2 hours west of St. Paul, whose cop cars, at least according to the website, follow the exact same black and white color pattern that we see in the movie. Speaking of clues from the cars that are seen throughout the movie, we can also reasonably assume that Mike's brother Garrett was kidnapped in the early 80s, based on this shot from Mike's dream sequence. By taking the rear end of William Afton's car here and reverse image searching for it, we're able to identify this as a Ford Fairmont Futura. Specifically, the model is coming from between 1980 and 1983. You can immediately see the connections here between the unique vertical taillight design and the boxy body shape. But why then does that matter? Well, Mike's brother Garrett is likely the first child that Afton abducted and killed. In Mike's dream flashbacks, we
So Garrett's gonna become the puppet. Maybe?
I clearly see Garrett holding a toy airplane as he's being taken away in the back of Afton's car. And where do we see that airplane again? When Vanessa reveals Afton to be her father. She's holding the same airplane. That right there, that is cold. Gifting toys from your victims to your daughter. But not only is it gross, it's also helpful because it lets us put together a rough timeline. You see, Afton and Vanessa are clearly in a still operational pizzeria in this photograph, which means it had to have been taken before the other kids went missing, causing Freddy's to shut down. down. In other words, Garrett was the first of Afton's victims that we currently know of. And that right there, that's important, because in the games, Afton's first victim, and the one most closely associated with his car, goes on to possess the puppet, a marionette-esque character that serves as a protector and guide to all the other spirit children. It's the first victim that gives gifts and gives life to the other animatronics after their murders. We see this possession happening in FNAF 6's security puppet minigame. Notice the tire tracks out there in the rain. We see the exact same event from a different angle in FNAF 2. Notice that cool purple car. From there, the rest of FNAF 2's hidden minigames then show us the puppet trying to protect the other dead children from Afton. And when it can't, the puppet decides to bring them to life in the form of animatronics. The robotic voice here is spelling out "save them." Does it sound familiar? It should. That same robotic voice appears at the very end of the movie.
At the end of the movie, during the credits.
C-O-M-E-F-I-N.
Come find me.
Once the whole thing wraps, the voice has spelled out "come find me" in the exact same way that the puppet communicated to the player in the FNAF 2 minigames. And who needs to be found in the movie? Garrett. See, the fact that they never resolved what exactly happened to Garrett was a big thing that stuck out to me when I was watching this thing. After all, it was Mike's entire motivation and his only clear outright connection to both Afton and Vanessa. His fate is definitely going to come up again in the sequel, and all the signs are pointing to the puppet from the FNAF 2 video game. What's more, did you notice the music that was playing during that section? It's a music box. Another nod to the puppet, who in the games is kept calm by constantly winding a music box. In short, Garrett is possessing the puppet in this world, and here he is literally trying to tell Mike and the audience to come find him in the sequel. But stop for a minute and consider the method of Afton's crime here. It is different from all the rest. He's out in nature. He kidnaps Garrett and presumably leaves him alive longer than his normal victims. He keeps the kid's toy and then gives it to his daughter. They're even in a completely different state. Unlike the rest of Afton's crimes, where he just lures kids to the back of the pizzeria and kills them, here things feel premeditated. They feel personal. And that would align with both the games and the books, where Afton's first murder isn't just a random killing, it's targeted against one person, his business partner and the original builder of the animatronics, Henry.
Small souls trapped in prisons of my
so maybe Mike's dad is somebody involved with Afton?
To cause all of this.
In fact, in the novel trilogy, Afton does the exact same thing that he does in the movie. He kidnaps Henry's daughter Charlie before ultimately killing her. Basically, all signs point to Garrett not just being a random victim, but rather to him being the son of Afton's partner and rival, Henry, the man who helped Afton build all of the animatronics. See, as I was piecing together the details from the movie, I started to notice something. The Afton and Schmidt families from the movie seem awfully close to the family structures from the games, except in reverse. You see, in the game series, we know that Afton has himself 3 children, Michael, Crying Child, and Elizabeth. The oldest son, Michael, plays a prank as a kid which gets his younger brother killed in the iconic Bite of 1983. From there on, Mike becomes obsessed with atoning for his mistake, eventually becoming a security guard and releasing the spirit of his brother into the afterlife. Then there's Elizabeth, who eventually gets trapped and dies inside a baby, a suit that is increasingly looking to be a spring-lock animatronic. Now let's check out the Schmidt family over in the movie. You have, again, a family of 3, 2 boys and a girl. Mike, the older brother, is a security guard who's obsessed with atoning for the time that he got his younger brother Garrett kidnapped and killed. Then there's Abby, who's nearly trapped and killed inside the Ella suit, a spring-lock animatronic. They literally match one for one. Meanwhile, Afton in the movie seems to have himself only one daughter, Vanessa, just like Henry had himself one daughter, Charlie, in the games. So if they've switched dynamics, that could make Mike's dad here the representative of Henry Emily from the games.
Our mom died a little while back, and Dad, he couldn't handle it, so...
They leave Mike's dad's fate vague. To me, looks like it was deliberately done in case they ever wanted to bring Mike's dad back into the story in a role similar to Henry's. But perhaps most interesting of all, if you look in the background of the employee training video, you can see a man who looks very similar to Mike's dad working on the animatronics, just like Henry would have done in the game's canon. This is also, as far as I can tell, an uncredited performance, but one look at Mike's dad, this guy from the training video, and the way that Henry's portrayed in places like the character encyclopedia, it shows a visual design connection between the 3 of them. But not only would this connection fit with the established game lore, it would also explain why William Afton recognizes Mike. Early in the movie, we see Afton have a moment of recognition when he reads Mike's last name.
Mr. Michael.
But according to US Census data, there's around 166,000 people with the last name Schmidt here in the US. So either this is just a case of pure movie coincidence, or William recognizes not only the last name Schmidt, but Mike Schmidt specifically, in the general age range that his partner's son would be. That's why he's so sure that this is someone from his past. More evidence for this? The fact that William knows that Mike has a brother without it ever being addressed.
This is perfect. First I killed your brother, now I kill you.
Sure, we can assume the spirit children told him.
I'm loving this theory, bro.
Or maybe Vanessa, but that's a bit less satisfying than him just knowing and taking out his vendetta against every member of the Schmidt family. And for those of you saying that Henry's last name is Emily, it might be, but that's never actually been officially confirmed. We've always thought it was a bit bizarre to have as a last name, and let's be honest, it could just as easily be Charlie's middle name, Charlotte Emily Schmidt. But last, let's talk about William. You'll notice that I just pulled the line that indicates that the spirits talk to William throughout this movie, which is a very important detail. In fact, if you notice, they really gave Afton a lot of explicit control over what the spirits are doing here. See, while he seems to understand what was happening in the games, it never seemed like he could outright control the animatronics. In the books, it's a little bit different. He eventually is able to control the animatronics, but not until the last novel of the trilogy. Here, though, he seems to understand all of it from the get-go. They tell him about Abby. He understands the importance of the pictures on the wall.
What have you done?
And as the spring locks in his suit are going off and he's dying, what does he do? He basically looks directly in the camera, says his catchphrase,
I always come back.
and puts on the Springtrap helmet. Why? What sense would that make? Well, it's a pretty clear indication that this Afton explicitly knows how possession works, and it involves being completely put inside of the suit like this. Putting on that helmet is basically Afton accepting his fate, knowing that he'll be back, able to possess the suit and survive. So right here we have ourselves a smarter Afton who is years further in his understanding of the spiritual world.
I'm loving this.
Afton
This
in
is
the
such a
games
good
or the
theory.
books, which leads me to this, an animatronic buried in the parts and service room of the pizzeria. One that you can't see in the movie, but you can see in the behind-the-scenes footage from Dawko during his tour of the movie set. An animatronic with rounded human skull, silver eyes, and human teeth. While this could just be background set dressing, I don't think that's the case. If this is truly an Afton who understands the power of agony in granting eternal life, if this is an Afton who has gone so far as to build a Freddy torture chair for extracting remnant from his victims, I'm thinking his experiments with building passable robotic humans has already begun. This isn't just me playing the Robot Gregory game again. It is the only explanation for the parts and services room to have an animatronic with human teeth and realistic human head proportions and eyes. And above it, hanging from the top of the shop, a robotic hand with 5 fully articulating fingers and human proportions. No other animatronic in this series fits this sort of description. Does this mean he's already built a humanoid, or is this just an early phase of his experiments?
Old
Unclear,
Charlie
but it
bot?
does give a bit more credit to Vanessa's bloodless stab wound at the end of the movie being more than just an excuse to get itself a PG-13 rating.
She's a Charlie, because again, it switched. Just like he said, everything is switched. So Vanessa's a Charlie bot?
My real guess, though, is that there's a robot Garrett walking around, and that he'll be the reveal at the end of the movie, just like Charlie the puppet is revealed to be a robot at the end of the 4th closet. A world-shattering revelation for Mike as he comes to terms with the nature of his brother and his father's weird creations before the final movie where he's tasked with having to burn it all down. Honestly, the pieces are in place for us. Why not? All the next movie has to do is drop a Markiplier cameo and then show me a clip of Mangle, and I'm in. But hey, one last reminder to check out our incredible officially licensed Fnaf merch. Grab them while they are remaining. Remnanting. The last thing you want is the agony of knowing that they've sold out when you wanted one. And as always, my friends, remember, it's all just a theory.
A film theory.
And cut.
Yes, yes, yes. Let me bring you in, Sauce Gang. I think we needed this. We needed, and I think most of us, this is what we were really excited about, was for Matt Pat to drop his official lore/theory video on the movie. And I think he hit the nail on the head. With the exception of we don't know about Garrett being a robot later on or anything like that. I mean, that's 100% speculation. I think for the rest of it though, I think he hit the nail on the head with this one. I mean, perfectly. I agree. I think a lot of it makes sense that the roles are essentially switched with the exception of Afton is still evil and, you know, Mr. Schmidt isn't, but we don't know all the details yet. But I think, yes, I mean, Afton did have that clarity. He's like, realizing, A, I know your family, B, I killed your brother, and C, I'm about to kill you next. And I bet you, I do think the dad is essentially Henry, you know, and I think there was a vendetta. I think Garrett was the first one to die. There was probably a reason why Mr. Afton was angry at him for reasons that relate to the book and the game. And I think we'll get a lot of it more. So I think it's up in the air. You know, is 2 gonna be a prequel? And then 3 will be, you know, all Springtrap, dude. Woo! can't wait. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. I think Matt, Pat, and the Film Theory crew did an amazing job on this. Again, I think it's pretty cut and dry. I think he hit the nail on the head. But let me know in the comments what you think. Make sure you show Matt, Pat, at Film Theory some love by subscribing to their channel. And chat, if you enjoy my reaction, please smash that subscribe and like button. It's absolutely free and it greatly helps out the channel. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And remember, it's eat, sleep, and make beats. And as usual, be kind of one another. That's all I got. Boom, I'm out. Come on, love for the Sauce Gang. Peace out, champ.